Do you recognize it?
People, Matias.
Do you recognize the music, Matias?
I recognize the instrument.
All right. Welcome back.
Welcome back to the back corner.
Yeah, to the dozens.
And dozens.
Yes.
I gotta say, I'm not sure this is currently my largest internet platform. There was a major development since our last episode.
Really?
Yeah, I
Did you go on Truth Social?
no. I make stuff for my wife, and I made her. She does.
You make things that do stuff.
Yes, she makes these things called jelly roll rugs, and I won't bore the dozens with the details.
Country music artist?
No, like the thing
He's serving in other ways.
quilt and put on the ground.
Oh, okay.
It's a rug made of like little. Anyways, point being, I made a thing for that, and Kelly posted it in her jelly roll rug making Facebook group. And it currently has 867 reactions and 136 comments.
Wow.
So I told the missus, I said, if anything ever happens to you and I need to stick my toe back in the dating world, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start on the jelly roll rug ladies. Yeah, be like, hey, I'm the guy who made that thing, and just so you know, Kelly won't be posting anymore, and you could console me. No, just
You
kidding.
have a contingency plan now.
I'm just saying. It turns out my perhaps my largest ever social media impact was on a rug for old ladies who make jelly rolls.
There you go. If you want social media impact, there's easy ways to do it.
You just got to find a niche.
You need to say something politically incorrect.
Oh, I see. I didn't say anything. I just made a thing of beauty. And all these old, I say they're old ladies. I don't know if they're old ladies. But
They're like 40.
your sister could be in that group. I don't know.
I'm sure she is. It's quilting.
Yeah, I mean, quilting
Yeah.
adjacent.
I think my biggest social media stuff would be I got a couple TikTok videos where people thought I was Matt Damon crying. I don't know why. And then I think we've referred to that before. Then I did. If you look for this online, you'll probably find it. There's the 12 Days of Christmas, like New Brunswick edition.
Yes.
Me and Jeff Cook and Dell and Dan, we did like a thing, and that's got like, I think closing on like 500,000 views.
Wow.
I didn't even know you had a
got
TikTok. Like your personal TikTok?
I don't have TikTok. It's just King's Church's TikTok. Yeah. So it's not even my platform.
I know what I'm hunting for later.
Yeah.
Well, again, I'm not even in this group. It's just my wife.
Yeah. And then
I guess the secret is to have someone else post you. Is that the?
I wrote 2 open letters. One during COVID.
Yep.
I wrote that went pretty viral about just restrictions and just stuff that didn't seem sensical.
Yeah.
And then I did one last year about the public school system, and that one went pretty bonkers too. Yeah, so if you say stuff that you shouldn't say, that's not appropriate according to the cultural public discourse, you get some clicks.
That's a good way to get a little traction.
And then I actually delete the posts and ghost it for a while because I don't want any more heat. There was like Reddit forums going on and stuff about the one last year about like Brent Ingersoll and Blaine Higgs are in cahoots to try to like win the election. I'm like, I talked to Blaine Higgs twice in my life. But.
I do get a kick out of, again, the only people that annoy me more politically than the left are the right, but the number of people who are politically on the left who think that the right are all wacko conspiracy theorists.
Yes.
And then everything to them is a conspiracy.
Well, that's the irony of both sides when you get like the two extremes.
Totally.
They call each other out for the very thing they're doing.
Absolutely.
Which is interesting.
That's why I always found Trump and Trudeau were like the same thing.
Yeah, just the right
left
version
and right
and the left version of it. Yeah.
Of like
Yeah,
like
both insufferable.
Egomaniacs known for their hair.
Yeah, kind of right. Yeah,
one's so bad, the other theoretically
Speaking
so
of
good.
Great hair.
There we go.
Welcome to the back corner, my man, Matias Croft.
Good to have you here,
Welcome, man.
It's good to be in the corner.
Super glad you're here. Feel free to interrupt.
That was a great segue.
Speak up. We're all about the segues. Yeah. In fact, let me swing
Speaking
back.
of segues.
Let me segue back to making stuff.
Okay.
No particular reason to bring this other than I just felt like a little show and tell would be in order.
I love show and tell.
I had a woman from the church yesterday show up.
Look at this.
Catherine Chason.
Look at this.
For the people who are watching, so this, I forget what this is called. This is some
It's
kind
called
of
cross stitch.
No, it's not.
Needlepoint.
No, it's not.
Art.
Those are beads.
Those are beads.
That is 12,000 beads.
Oh my word.
She individually placed.
Beading.
And this is my dog.
let
For
me see,
anyone
let me
who's
see, let me
listening,
see.
I have like a portrait of my dog.
In beaded form.
That is wild.
Isn't that crazy?
That is incredible.
It really is.
You have a beetle.
It is. It's
beetle.
Yeah. So there's Lewis. I'm gonna keep this in my office most of the time, but it might show up in the back corner once in a while.
It's beautiful.
It is super nice.
That's impressive work.
It really is. I don't know if is that on. Can you get that on the? So if you're not watching, sorry, but it's a picture of a purebred good boy.
Go watch.
Good boy.
My golden retriever, Lewis, C.S. Lewis.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, man. I thought that was that. You know, it's hard short of like giving me a bunch of money or something.
Yeah, no, that is impressive.
It's a
and like the
meaningful
expressiveness
gift.
on his face and like
it
the
looks just like
texture.
him.
Yeah, like it's uncanny.
Yeah.
It really is. It based on a real picture?
Yeah, she pulled it off Facebook
Yep.
and then just recreated it with beads.
That's wild.
It's pretty cool.
I wonder if she used AI for that.
I don't know.
There are programs I think you can like basically put it in and it'll pixelize it for you, so it'll tell you like what all the dots need to be and stuff.
Anyway, that's up there on the gifts I've gotten. That's super cool.
And personal. It's personal. It's hard work.
Yeah.
It's
beautiful.
Yeah, it's not something someone else can just go get you.
Yeah.
Love it.
Anyway, it was
Very impressive.
I was flabbergasted.
Love a
No,
good,
that's
meaningful
amazing.
gift.
Right?
Yeah.
Actually, had my purebred good boy at the vet today.
Oh, yeah?
He's overweight and graying early.
Oh wow.
He's 93 pounds.
Remind me not to live with you. I don't have a frame. My dog is 7 pounds, so
like
I don't have a
carnivore
frame
diet.
or
He's
reference
big.
for that.
Well, he's been eating kitten food. It's full of calories, and so he has
Yeah.
packed on the
Do
weight.
you have your dog on the carnivore diet?
He's on the whatever you're not going to finish diet.
Yeah. My dog eats
basically-
cat food,
Yeah.
and my cat eats dog food.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Well, first, I did want to welcome Matthias. We can't pay with money. We pay with silver and gold. I have not.
Hey,
But
Condo. Thank you.
but
That's a
back
word.
corner swag.
Thank you, Lord.
I have. You got a hat.
I love this.
We got the one of the dozens hoodies.
Sir.
Are you one of the dozens? You ever listen?
I am one of the dozens.
All right. So
I re-listened the other day just to
get
prepare for any curveballs, which
There
doesn't
we
make
go.
sense because you can't really prepare for a curveball.
that is
I
true.
put this on now.
You
don't-
can.
Well, I wouldn't mess your hair up, man. Your hair looks too
A
good.
curveball
Okay,
you can
thanks.
prepare for is not a curveball.
You don't have to wear a hat. So I would
fair
flex that cool hair, man.
Well, you still can. The day will come.
What I wouldn't give. Actually, can you imagine that hair though on my head? That'd be
I can,
amazing.
actually.
That'd be so cool.
It'd have to be like kind of reddish though. You'd have to be like
yeah, like a
ginger could have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know that gingers are black?
What?
There's a video going around.
Ron,
Footage.
you guys are
My brother.
Now, for the record, any gingers in the church, that was a joke.
Okay.
Like there's a video going around.
Okay.
I don't. That's
the
not
gingers
my.
are black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I did
Nothing
know
changes
that.
for you.
Now, you'll have to hit the Nephilim ticker here. But I have heard that gingers are descendants of the giants, and that's why
Is that why they have the higher pain tolerance?
there's a bunch that they tie.
Are you
a bunch-
familiar with that?
Yeah.
Like it takes more anesthesia
Because
to
they
put
don't have
ginger under-
souls.
Oh.
No, look
So
it
which
up.
is it? They're black or they don't have soul? It can't be both.
So
The
I don't make the societal cultural rules.
yeah that does
I just
ruin
abide
your,
by them.
That does
Yeah.
ruin your
Yeah.
theory there. If they either have souls, which means then they can be black.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's no. There's stuff you can find it online. I'm sure it's verifiable that that redheaded people are descendants of the giants. So there you go.
Interesting.
Yeah, you might be part Nephilim.
Feel seen.
I tell you though, when you look at Ron, your first thought is, "Bay, that guy's descended from giants."
For sure. Yeah.
All 5'10".
That's right.
David killed your forebears, your forefathers. Yeah. Today's sponsors.
Yeah.
I want to official sponsor wanted to shout out a new program that's being launched at King's Church called the True North Gap Year Program. I think we have a proper commercial.
Oh.
So if you're listening, if you're
classy.
listening, I think it'll make sense. But if you're watching, let's check it out.
Coming out of high school is like this giant, big mystery. It's scary. I feel like I'm still trying to figure things out. But there's this big decision in front of me and so many things I could choose from. It can be pretty nerve-wracking. What I do know is that I want my life to matter. God's purpose in my life really matters to me. So, when I heard about the True North Gap Year program, I was really excited. It'll give me opportunities to do ministry in a lot of different ways. In the local church, in communities, and overseas. To have a lot of different experiences and some adventure. And to grow in my own walk with Jesus. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't think not knowing what you want to do means you should do nothing. I know God has a plan for me, and the True North program feels like a very valuable way to spend my time while I figure that out.
Dude, that's a great line.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Not knowing what I'm supposed to do doesn't mean I should do nothing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So the True North Gap Year program is a 1-year program designed for students that are, coming out of high school. I think between like 18 and 20 is kind of that sweet spot.
Yep.
And, if you don't know what you're going to do, this is a great opportunity for you to be proactive in your discipleship. There are some educational components. There's experiential stuff, some mission trips. You're going to be rolling with Mike McNeil, which is always formative for
Absolutely.
people. And so, if you are a high school student that fits that bill, or you have a high school that fits that bill, you can go to truenorthgapyear.com. I
Sounds
believe. I think we have all the dots.
If it's wrong, we'll put the correct one in the description.
Yeah, no, I think we have .com, .ca, .cc. You should be able to find it. Just Google True North Gap Year and you'll find it. So,
show up.
Yeah, and so first session starts this fall, so people are registering now.
Awesome. Yeah, jump on it. It's going to be great.
It is. It is. Unofficial sponsor?
Unofficial sponsor, Summer.
Hey.
I think we've got one more episode this season, and then we're going to be taking a little summer hiatus. Yeah. And we would encourage you to get outside. On behalf of all my friends who struggle with any sort of mental health issues, that vitamin D, you're going to want that.
It helps.
And it's only available for about 6 to 8 weeks every year in Atlantic Canada. So get out there, soak it up, except for on Sunday mornings. Go to church.
Yeah.
Don't be one of those dorks who thinks that you take a vacation from church.
Hear, hear.
No, seriously. That's the dumbest thing. I don't understand the logic behind that for people. Like, it's really important to go to church. Unless it's sunny. Mm-hmm. Like, no, it's important to go to church. It's legitimately, it's an hour and a half. Like, it doesn't ruin it's not one of those, like, go to, if you're really that worried about it, go to the early service, wherever you're at.
We do find early service gets fuller in the summer.
Proper thing. I get that. Like, I get the whole, I want to go to the beach or want to hang out with the family, but, show up. It's good for you.
Hear, hear.
Good for you.
Awesome. Ron, what'd you have for breakfast? Yes. I feel that this is a little ska.
Yeah.
It's like slow-mo ska. And now it's reggae.
This is a white guy doing reggae.
Yeah, this is like Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah.
Reggae. It's kind of smooth though. It's not bad. It definitely is Paul Simon singing reggae.
It's like a pop guy.
It's not a Rastafarian singing that.
It's a white guy who plays an acoustic guitar who listened to a couple reggae albums while he was writing this album.
Yeah.
And decided to throw this in.
It's more Margaritaville than it is Kingston.
Hopefully you didn't just have margaritas for breakfast, Ron. What did you have for breakfast, my friend?
Of course I had Cheerios.
Cheerios!
Yeah.
There we go. Does that even up the score?
Cheerios are ahead now by 2.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Looks like they're going to win the.
They're going to. I mean,
they just secured the.
There's
the
no
title.
way non-Cheerios can come back. And win.
With that wins it.
It
even
seals
though we
it.
have one more episode after this.
It seals it.
I'll have to do something big for next episode.
Cheerios! Congratulations.
There we go.
You
unofficial
win.
Yeah, is that
sponsor.
your plug to get them as a sponsor?
Yeah, we should send Cheerios. You know how like if you get like 1 million YouTube subscribers, you get that plaque.
We
should
need
send a
a
back corner
we need a
plaque to
box of
Cheerios.
Cheerios in the background here.
I think they've earned it.
Ron, next time you empty a box, bring that
Today.
bad boy in here. Well, but you probably already recycled that one.
Bring it to our finale, our season 1
There
finale.
we go. Season 1 finale. We're going to add a box of Honey Nut Cheerios.
Depending on
the
how
back
much
corner.
stuff we get in the back corner, that may turn into just like a cutout of the honeybee. But
I mean, it's
For
light
now.
enough we could mount it up on a wall. Or
yeah,
something.
we could. There's room.
I love it.
That's awesome. All right.
I discovered this YouTube channel. The algorithm has led me thusly this week that makes reggae, like pretty legitimate reggae versions of songs about popular like pop culture franchises. Like there's like a Lord of the Rings one,
Really?
and a Star Wars one, and Avengers. It's pretty. I mean, they're interesting and they're funny, and somehow in the videos, Snoop Dogg always makes an appearance. But it got me thinking, man, I think I like reggae. So then I went to Apple Music and I got their like reggae essentials. It turns out I do not like reggae. I just like this weird sci-fi reggae.
The more important question is, Matthias, what are your thoughts on Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
I've never watched.
Oh,
You're holding up the stereotypes, man. Bradford schooled me on that. He's like, dude, black people don't like Lord of the Rings. What are you talking about?
I don't watch witchcraft.
What about Star Wars? Witchcraft.
witchcraft.
I've watched one Star Wars movie and
Yeah.
I fell asleep for half of it.
What
not your
one
thing.
was it?
It's just not. It was. I think it was Return of the Jedi.
Oh.
So it's just I was going because people that I liked were going.
Yes.
And I don't watch movies. I
Okay.
don't. I think it's. I watch movies that I know I like, but like I'm never gonna be the person to be like, what should we do as a hangout? Let's go watch a movie.
watch a movie.
Because like I like you guys, so I'm gonna choose to go sit and not talk for like an hour and a half.
I'm not really a big movie guy either.
I'm actually not either, even though I've seen a lot of movies and can quote them.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you the last movie I watched that I was like, I'm so glad I watched a movie.
Totally.
Yeah.
I can watch like 3 hours of YouTube videos
Yeah,
of,
same.
of like
Can watch
how some weird thing is made or whatever. But then I'm like, I sit down for an hour and a half of big budget special effects written by like elite level industry professionals, and I'm just bored to tears.
I pretty much watch bass fishing videos every night before bed. It just like it helps me unwind, man. There's nothing.
no, I get it.
There's nothing less stressful, or like there's nothing less stressful than a middle-aged dude ripping lips.
I watch.
I'm gonna take you fishing. We were talking about that. weren't we?
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
We're gonna get. I can't.
I'm not a very outdoorsy guy.
I'm not committed to converting you on Lord of the Rings, but I think I can hook you on fishing.
Ooh,
Hey,
that's a dad
hey,
pun right
there you
there.
go, there you go.
Get hooked on.
Is there a
fishing.
camera? Is there a camera for me to look disappointedly at?
Yeah. right
one of
there,
those
right
two,
down
one
the
of those
barrel.
two red
Got it.
ones are
Okay.
yours. So yeah.
I watch. There's this series of videos from, I'm trying to remember, some business channel called Still Standing, and they just like these dudes in this village in India have been making these scarves for 700 years. Here's how they're still making them. Like, and it's just all these ones. The last one I watched, they were making these scarves, and they make the dye for the fabric out of camel poo. Like, it's just the weirdest stuff. But it is just one of those, it's kind of low key, and there's just always some guy going like, my family's made these for 5,000 generations, and I'm keeping up the tradition.
Parts Unknown without, what's the guy who was on Parts Unknown?
Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Anyway.
R.I.P. Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah. All
Today's
right.
unofficial sponsor, Camel Poo. If you have a shawl you need
I
dye.
actually saw on YouTube the other day someone was roasting a camel and they were carving it up and like they were eating it.
Oh, I thought you meant like they were insulting the camel.
No, not that kind of roast. On a
With
stick it.
with your humps and everything.
Yeah,
Your humps are uneven.
they eat, like the humps full of fat, I guess. And like
makes
anyway,
sense.
I mean, I don't know why we decided that one animal's more edible than another. It looked like beef.
I saw one of those PETA billboards where they have like all the animals and like, why do you draw the line here or whatever?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, there's like 4 animals on the would not eat side of that line
Yeah.
that I would totally eat. Like horse, I'd eat a horse. Why not?
That used to be pretty common
They're
back
all
in the
meat.
day. People would eat horse. Like
Legitimately, the
natives
only
would.
thing on there I would not eat. I mean, I'd eat anything in a survival situation, but wouldn't just try was a dog.
Oh yeah,
Like
no,
cats, like
no.
I'd try cat.
Look, you can't.
Sure. No.
You couldn't eat that purebred good boy. You couldn't do it.
But if you were going to eat a good boy,
Yeah.
your good boy would be much better
He would
than
be,
mine.
Dad,
He would be.
if you need to. Yeah,
There's no
yours
meat on
is
my
a
dog.
snack.
You could fry mine up to grease the pan to cook yours.
Maybe.
That's morbid.
Maybe.
No, there is no fat on her.
Yeah.
She's trim.
Yeah, just for the record, AJ has a Chihuahua.
Part Chihuahua, part Chinese crested.
Okay.
6 pounds of love, no fur.
Super small dog.
Pretty small. I've owned smaller, but
Those are called puppies.
that dog may be here for the back corner finale.
yeah.
I mean,
she would come and sit here through this whole
as
thing
long
and
as
be
she's not
happy as could
distracting.
be.
My dog
She'll fall asleep.
would be a nuisance.
Yeah.
He would just not be helping us one bit. So
Well, maybe Ellie will make an appearance
Yeah, we'll-
on the season finale. We got to pull out all the stops.
I figure
for the season
if I've
finale.
got the picture of Lewis,
There we
that
go.
can bring the
That's enough.
real art, genuine artifact. All right, segment 1. We we're all over the place today.
Yeah.
Overrated, overhated music edition.
Here we go.
For people who don't know, Matias is a very gifted musician, worship leader, songwriter, the whole thing. And we figured,
Dancer, I assume.
Can you dance?
I don't do it publicly.
I'm sure you can, though.
Did I not see a video of you dancing like at your wedding?
That was because I A, had to, and B, it was the most joy I've experienced in one day in my life.
Well, there you
So,
go.
That would have been the Swaziland version of that wedding. Was that like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That didn't happen up in
In St.
up in
John?
Norton?
No.
Norton.
At SJ1? No.
yeah.
Different kind of dancing in Norton.
Yeah.
My
that's right.
aunt ululated though, so.
Okay.
You're on what now?
What is that? Oh.
Celebration sounds.
Ululated? Is
That's
that
what it's called?
Yep.
Nice.
Ululated.
I'm going to start bringing that into worship on Sundays.
You should
I'm going to ululate.
get all
I-
the women to do it.
Once
That's
in a
what
while,
happens.
I have heard that, like whether it's Thule or I've heard a
It's
few,
most likely to.
Yeah, I've heard it a few times in
Love you, Thule.
at the Valley location.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
That's awesome.
A lot of the guys whistle.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Just like a. Okay. Like what kind of whistle are we talking about? We're talking Andy Griffith theme song.
That's a
We
good.
talking-
Listen, you get. There we go.
There you go. I
The
can't whistle
Andy
to
Griffith Show, starring Andy Griffith.
You would assume.
I
We're going to hit copyright.
I was messing
infringement
up.
here
I
at
was
some
mixing
point.
up my show names. Who's
Yeah, Andy Griffith.
No, like the
Ron Howard.
actors.
Ron
Ron
Howard.
Howard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, how do you even know that? You're like,
I have.
what are you, 24,
I have
23?
21.
How do you even know?
I hung out with old people, and I have an old soul.
Okay.
I have the full. I was telling someone the other day. I have the full collection of Andy Griffith. Oh goodness.
Wow.
Full collection. Andy Griffith. Leave It to Beaver.
Wow.
I Love Lucy and the Lucy Show.
You sound like my wife's
Yeah.
family. Do you have Get
Gomer
Smart?
Pyle.
Get Smart?
Wow.
I don't have Get
Oh,
Smart.
come on,
dude.
man.
I don't
Yeah.
have Get Smart.
All respect lost right there. You had me in
But
there.
that's a different genre, though. Guess
Little
what?
House on the
Yeah.
Prairie.
Oh, yeah.
The Waltons. Dr. Quinn.
Wow.
There's probably some others. Should
Wow.
ask my mom.
You were brought up in the 60s.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
They have one of these things they've started doing lately is color TV. I don't know if you've seen that yet. It's pretty awesome.
Actually, that's over now, too. It's all on YouTube.
That's
so.
true.
Yeah. So overrated, overhated music edition. We have 3 things we want to decide whether this gets enough scrutiny or enough love. That's the question. So you got to decide: is this overhated or overrated? First one, Gaither music. Gaither music. For anybody who's in the dozens first that doesn't know what the Gaither, explain the Gaithers, AJ.
Bill and Gloria Gaither.
Watch what
are
you say.
The Gaithers.
Oh, wait, actually, I sent a clip.
Oh, okay.
Scrub forward to like the 2-minute 10 mark
Here
on
we
this.
go.
We don't need the whole thing. We just need the crescendo. It's all going to the build up, right?
It's always all going to the Bill.
David Phelps. Okay, crank up the edifiers. There we go. This is the game.
Michael English. Come on. Thank you, Lord.
Keep it going.
Thank you,
Turn up the edifiers. I'm gonna. We're ruining it.
Watch this. Watch this right here.
I love that you knew right when it was coming.
That is amazing. I think we're all sold. Dude, that is you gotta have like a dead heart to
Or
not,
do you?
not be moved by that, at least. I'm not a full, I'll zag, I think, from you guys a little bit, but
I mean, you're a descendant of the gospel heirs. You have to have a certain predisposition towards.
objectively impressive, though.
Actually,
What?
what do you mean you're a descendant of the gospel heirs?
Oh, dude.
You know, do you know the gospel heirs? They
Yeah.
were like local music group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my family.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad, my uncle, my cousins like Janice McLaughlin, and
I didn't
grew
even
up-
know you were related to Janice, but I'm not remotely surprised
Yeah,
to
oh
learn.
yeah. On my
Because-
mom's side.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah.
you're one of those
I'm deep steeped.
deep Atlantic district.
He's
Yeah.
down it.
Have you ever been to a Wesleyan church? There's a chance you're related to Brent Ingersoll.
Yeah, so for the dozens that don't know, the gospel heirs, they had a long tenure actually, like Atlantic Canada region.
Atlantic Canadian Southern gospel royalty. Legitimately.
Yeah, totally.
Very niche.
Like no, there's no one ahead of them. And certainly I don't think anyone longer than them.
Yeah, there's like 50 plus years they
Yeah.
traveled and ministered all over the place.
And there've been other groups, but like
Yep. Well,
no one who would be like, oh yeah, the gospel heirs, but they like no, they were
it was a group
were the
that
deal.
it went so long, it had multiple iterations. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, they replaced this singer with that singer. And anyway,
Yeah.
you know, people ask me if I grew up
like the Newsboys.
in ministry and like, was my dad a pastor?
Yeah.
No, but I grew up at church multiple times a week, just all the churches, not
And
that
your
one.
uncle and your grandfather
yeah.
were all pastors.
Yeah. Well, my uncle was in the gospel heirs too, Don.
Yeah.
Don was in the gospel heirs. So yeah, man. So yeah, I'm coming at this with a certain degree of baggage on the question of the Gaithers. You go first. Gaither music, Southern gospel in general, or are we just going Gaither specific?
I feel like anything you say about the Gaithers, because they're the pinnacle. Not saying they're the best, but they like if it's true about the Gaithers, it's true about Southern gospel
the
in general.
genre,
Yeah. I would go. I'm a mix. I think you'd have to specify what aspect you're talking about before I can tell you whether it's overhated or overrated. I'll start with the things that I do think are overrated or under criticized with the Gaithers in general and Southern gospel specifically. I think people who here's my bigger axe to grind is probably actually with Gaither fans than with Gaither itself. But I think there's two common
Of
criticism.
which clearly Matthias is one.
Yeah.
Yes, and clearly you're another. Yeah.
Wait for it.
Dude, you got
That was-
busted out your glory hanky halfway through the clip. You can't-
That's because I love Jesus. That's because I love Jesus, the hill called Mount Calvary.
I love Jesus, and I can dislike lots of things that are about him. I think there are two criticisms that are commonly leveled against church music these days by Gaither fans. One is that it's very entertainment-oriented and showy. And the other is that it is kind of trite and fluffy and doesn't have a lot of theological depth. And I think
At times.
that's the accusation.
Oh, okay.
Like, a lot of people would say, like, a lot of people would look at the songs we sing at King's
Yeah, and they'd say the same.
and would say, look, you got lights, you got guitars and drums, it's all entertainment. And they would go, you know, I miss the old hymns that have all the depth. And Southern gospel is, with the possible exception of, gospel music in general, whether you're talking kind of more black gospel, Southern gospel, I would argue there is no more entertainment-oriented form of Christian music. Like key changes and banter, like that are meant to show how impressive a guy's range is.
Yeah.
Or the banter, like that's a big thing in Southern gospel, the banter between the songs. Like there's scripts with jokes and that, like, so, which I don't think is bad, but I would just encourage people who can listen to guys tell the same jokes that they've told at 78 concerts already.
Dude, I knew every punchline to every
Totally.
in-between thing at the gospel airs.
Like, which is fine, but then don't go, there's a hazer in the auditorium. This is all entertainment. It's like, no, if you're into one form of entertainment,
Right.
you can't critique people for taking other stuff that frankly is more about aesthetics than pure entertainment and criticizing that. And then the other thing is the depth thing. Now that song has some depth to it, so that's not a great example.
And
but
he's
like
got some that are really rich.
Absolutely. But
really rich.
but there's lots like
yeah.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
I can hear the
I can feel the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each. Like it's one of those like it's people
poetic,
go, I don't like
but
the choruses. Like that's a chorus.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of modern worship music that is super deep, super thick, super rich.
Yes.
And so the notion that because it was written like post the 70s or the 60s, it has to be fluffy. Like, no, there's Southern gospel that is insane. Like, ain't I gonna need this house no longer? Ain't I gonna need this? Like, not to mention that it's Gnostic. It's also just fluffy. So point being, I would say the way that the Gaithers would be overrated is by people who cannot see the fluff that's a part of it and the tons of entertainment that's a part of it. Not all of it,
even
but part
just like
of it.
levity, right? Like there's which is of value.
There's
like,
always a
like,
straight man and Mark Lowry
He's
is
the
literally
goofball.
a comedian, and his job in that group is to be funny.
Yeah.
And Bill's job is to be the straight man who's always trying to rein him in
it's
for
a little
comedic
pro
effect.
wrestling, isn't it?
Everything is pro wrestling, Brent, and that's going to come up eventually on this podcast. The whole world, it's a work. If you were going to use pro wrestling terminology,
You got to heel. You got
it's a work.
What's the other? The heel and the
Face, baby face.
Okay,
Yeah,
baby.
no, but it's a work. It's even like, that if that part where the guy grabs his heart because he's so blessed, every night he grabs his heart because he's so blessed at that part. Like it's a work.
It's performance art, for
right?
sure,
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like in pro wrestling parlance. A work is like when people say it's fake, like that's what they mean. It's there's a shoot and a work. Shoot is stuff that's real, it's authentic, it's actually happening. So if two guys are in the ring working and one of them accidentally hits the other guy too hard and the other guy hits him back hard, it's called a receipt, but to try to get the guy to like lay off, that's a shoot, right? Or when a guy does an interview where he actually talks about the actual business as opposed to the script, that's a shoot, right? So a lot of Southern gospel is a work.
Right.
And I'm sure some of it's a shoot. So I would just say, I would encourage Southern gospel fans to just acknowledge that. And I would say not acknowledging that is an overrated thing. I would say an overhated or unappreciated thing, though, is the technical skill.
Ridiculous.
Some of the greatest vocalists in the history of Christian music sing Gaither music.
Or of just music. Like, I mean, like David Phelps, I mean, put him
Totally.
up against anybody, anywhere.
Well, sort of back to my earlier point, like, was it the Kingsmen that used to be Elvis, or some of those guys were in Elvis's band,
Yes,
like his backup singers and stuff?
J.D. Sumner and the Stamps, that low voice guy.
JD Sumner's ridiculous.
What's your?
He can hit some of the lowest notes. I understand he can't always pick which note it is, but it is going to be low.
He's also dead, so he can't really.
Yeah, he can't defend himself now. What's your take on Gaither music, Matias Croft?
Well, growing up, my mom would play it like on Sunday mornings, getting ready for church and stuff, and like I would hear it from downstairs in my room, and I'd be like, "Bro, why are we listening to this again?" But then, as time passed, I actually listened. Like as I started actually developing appreciation for music, I actually started listening to it, and then I was like, "Okay, I actually like this." And then I became obsessed. And
Oh, really? You're like into it.
they're like the reasons I wanted to do anything with music.
Really?
Like that's where it started.
did not know that.
Specifically David Phelps. And so like I've been putting Matapelo on, and like she's like she can appreciate some of it, but she's like,
Yeah.
okay,
She's like,
well, fair
take
enough,
your word for
whatever.
it.
I think it's also a cultural statement, but
Right, because you like, in what way?
well, just like everything you were talking about, the style, the culture, like Southern gospel is a very niche genre. The presentation of it, the style of the music, it's all like, if you're not used to it,
Right.
you either really like it or you really like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And so,
And for those of you who aren't familiar, Matthias's wife is from South Africa.
Right.
So not exactly the South that put the South in Southern gospel.
right.
Different South.
A different
It's
South.
like, if you like I think that's a sidebar, but like it's strange that I like Southern gospel.
But you
a way.
we'll get into your story
Yeah.
here shortly, but like you have experience in like living in multiple cultures.
Yeah.
So you have a bit of a
So yeah,
bit of range.
it's a big range. But yeah, anyway, specifically David Phelps is why I wanted to sing for real.
Really?
And so like
He's ridiculous.
It's like, and like he can, yeah, like you said, he can sing across all genres. He can sing here.
Yeah.
He has classical albums. My first classical song that I learned was because I watched him sing it.
Wow.
I still remember it. Don't know what it means.
I knew you were like into the Gaithers, but I did not see coming that David Phelps was like your guy.
And so 2014, my mom got us tickets to a Gaither vocal band concert,
Yeah.
and I got to meet him.
Wow.
One of the greatest days of my life.
I want to say it's uncommon for a young guy to be that into Southern gospel, but they keep finding young guys
Yeah,
to
for
be in
sure.
the band,
Yeah.
so clearly it's a thing.
It was one of my dreams to make the vocal band when I was a kid.
Wow.
Man,
Or one of the groups. Ernie
Don't give
Haas,
up on it, man.
Ernie Haas,
You got that
Signature
skill.
Sound,
You'd be the first
vocal
up.
band.
They've never had a black guy
do
in it, though,
Ernie
have they?
Hands.
Vocal band?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they've had a couple.
Have they?
They have one now. Todd Suttles.
Oh,
Then
really?
they had-
Don't do Ernie Haas.
Then they had
You're
Lionel
too good
Harris
for that.
Yeah,
Lionel Harris?
The coordinated
Lionel Harris.
outfits and the choreography.
yeah. The more I watched, I'm like, nah, that's not.
Yeah, no,
but
it's-
I'm saying that was my dream
Yeah,
at
yeah.
one
So
point.
you're saying overhated for sure. Like they don't get enough credit.
I understand why people don't like them, because again, it's like to me it feels like very niche thing to like,
yeah.
and so if you're not brought up into it, then. But I do think they're overhated, but I also am not like
Is there
everybody needs to like them.
Is there a parallel to Southern gospel in mainstream music now?
I was thinking that when I was thinking about when you were going to do this, and I was I don't like, even when we watched that clip, like I was like, there's nothing like this
Yeah.
in anywhere.
Like you
this
go
is
back
such
to
a
like the
unique thing.
50s and early 60s, like groups that did harmonies. Like there's
Yeah.
a vague parallel.
Well, you have like, or like in Motown and stuff. You
Yeah.
have like, the Temptations and stuff like that. Like, so groups doing music was a bigger
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But
But
that's
I don't know that the style was ever a mainstream or like a secular equivalent of it style wise, but I don't think there's even anything remotely close now. Like there's lots of Christian artists you could go, if they weren't singing Christian music, this is what they'd be singing, right?
So, okay, so here's my take is this. I will say they're overhated, but not because I'm a fan. Like I've never, ever in my life, because I was forced to for the first 16 years, have I just chosen to listen to that.
Yeah.
I respect it though for what it is. I think people aren't honest about performance and preference. I think people, if it seems scripted, that seems to be inauthentic to people. But that's not what art is. Like not all art is spontaneous.
Very little good art is actually spontaneous.
Yeah, and so like they're not trying, and they're not acting like, this is the first time I ever put my hand over my heart.
Yeah.
Like that is the expression, and there's a place for that. It's okay, and things being excellent is really valuable.
Yep.
Right, and so like I think just being objective about that is important, and then just preference. I think you'll find people who love the Gaithers that hate, like modern worship music and are critical of it. Like I remember I went to the Gaithers. They came to St. John probably 10 years ago, and they were at Harbor Station. Place was packed, and I got to go. Someone gave me a ticket, so I went. And like, great show. They did an awesome job. People were loving it. It was 90% gray hair. And the thing that struck me the most, though, was like, I'm looking around and I'm seeing, this is right back during the worship wars too, right? During when people were really like sensitive about what, dark lighting and the music's too loud and all that. Dude, they had that so cranking hot.
Yeah.
Like it was so loud. One of the loudest concerts I've ever been to. And you had all these.
Well, given the audience, eh?
Well, no, but that's the same audience though that have been complaining to me that it's too loud on Sunday.
They
It's
don't.
like,
They
actually,
don't like being able to hear the music when they don't like the music, but they do
well,
like being able to
that's-
hear the music
that's
when
my-
they can. Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah,
Is like
I'm with you.
you're just not being honest about your preference of what you like. It's not too loud. It's you don't like it, and that's the language you're using.
I think people often confuse their emotional response to music for its objective quality. Like again, if you don't like Southern gospel, you're ignorant about music. If you don't appreciate the technical skill of Southern
Right.
gospel, you're ignorant about music. Like it's a bluegrass. I don't listen to a lot of bluegrass,
But
but
you
if
can
you can
say-
watch a good bluegrass, like I'm a guitar player, not a good one at all, but I can play one.
Yeah.
If you watch a bluegrass guy play the guitar and you go, "That's not good,"
Yeah.
you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You might say, "I don't prefer to listen to it." Fine.
Billy Strings is objectively awesome.
He's phenomenal. like, or even like progressive metal, like Dream Theater and stuff. Like, I would never choose to listen to that.
Right.
It's an incredibly, it's an incredible level of technical proficiency to do that. I don't know why you would invest the time to get so good at something that's so unenjoyable to
Singing
listen
about
to.
dragons and
Well, I just don't.
swords.
I was just one of those like I don't. This is nothing I would ever want to listen to. So I don't know why you. Why I don't understand. I find it hard to understand why people work so hard to get good at something that isn't actually that enjoyable. But you can't say they're not good at it.
That's their passion.
And I think that's the thing. Like, I feel like I don't like it when people like argue that like something is like completely this or completely that.
Yeah.
Like or like people being defensive of me saying I don't like heavy metal.
Right.
Doesn't mean I don't appreciate the skill that you have to do this.
Yeah.
Because like I don't listen to heavy metal.
Right.
I don't like heavy metal, but I can appreciate and respect the musicality of it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think in church that there's this whole other layer though too, is people overlay the approval of God and the presence of the Holy Spirit
with their preference
on their nostalgia. And they're like, what's that thing people say? Whatever the kind of music was that was popular in the church when you came to faith.
Yes.
You are like, people tend to just get fixated on that as like the right kind of church music.
Well, there was a time when the organ was like, that was
wildly
that
controversial.
Was very
secular demon instrument.
You can't bring that secular thing into the church. And
then people started adding the piano, and it's like, no, we need to stick with Jesus' instrument, the organ.
Right.
And this evil, stringed demon. We got to get rid of that. This is the other thing that drives me nuts. Back to that, like Gaithers, full band, drums, guitar, bass,
horns,
all of them banging. And you know how many people have showed up to a church on Sunday and complained that there's drums on the stage.
Oh yeah.
And then went home and put on a homecoming video with drums in it.
Yeah, that's the same as my sound point. It's like,
no, that's what I'm agreeing. I'm piling on. Yeah.
All right, let's do another one. I think we can all agree overhated to the Gaithers. I think we're all unanimous there.
I would
Although
say
it's not my jam.
overhated by its critics and under nuanced by its fans.
There. Well said. Let's do
under
this one.
nuanced over whatever. We gotta
right.
come up with that as a new segment. Anyway,
Jumping genres, or this might not even necessarily be a genre thing, but something we're utilizing. Overrated or overhated? Autotune. Autotune. Pitch correction.
I went first last time.
Okay. Well, I feel like for me, there's a difference between autotune and pitch correction.
I agree.
So if we're talking like
You would define autotune
If we're
as the
talking,
intentional
like-
musical choice to make it sound
Talking
like
autotune,
it.
Lil Jon.
If we're talking about autotune, you take autotune off, this person sucks. Or if you're talking about pitch correction, sometimes you're gonna hit like a note that's like a little sharper, a little flat,
just gonna round it
and
up.
it's just gonna like level it out. Then I think that's was it overrated, underrated?
Yeah,
I think
overrated,
pitch
overrated.
correction, healthily used, is underrated.
Yes.
And
every small
underrated.
church should have pitch correction. Just there are so many mediocre singers that could be brought to adequate if they just ran pitch correction. Truly, like it just tightens it up so that like you never have to hear somebody hit a half bad note. So it's
I think autotune in the like as an intentional musical effect that you can clearly tell is there is overused but also overhated. It's vocally
It's fun
It's
to
interesting.
play with.
It's
It is.
interesting.
At
but
the
then
least.
someone was like, let's just do it on every song for like 20 years.
we have a deleted scene of the back corner where AJ and I auto-tuned our devotionals.
There we go. It was
I saw a video of someone yesterday falling off their bike and they auto-tuned it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Pretty entertaining.
That's
but
fantastic.
the pitch correction thing, I would say, I think lots of churches who I think that autotune itself or pitch correction itself is probably overhated, but I would say that being honest about it is underhated or overhated, because I like how many you mentioned some of these smaller churches that maybe just don't have access to the same kind of pool of vocalists that, man, it would make things a whole lot more enjoyable for everyone if they just had a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But what they don't understand is the big church that they watch, that everyone nails every note, is definitely using pitch correction.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where, like, I think it creates a false sense of the skill of other musicians and makes people think I could never serve God in ministry that way because I can't do what that person does. It's like, no, you could if you had the same help they did.
Well, and that brings a different conversation about giftedness just in general. But we have one more overrated, overhated in the music edition. Concerts.
Overrated.
Concerts.
I hate concerts. And I love music, but I hate concerts.
Honestly, like it would have to be like someone that I really, really, really love to get me to go to a concert. Like Noah Khan.
Okay, yeah.
100% I'll go to a Noah Khan concert.
Yeah.
But I can't name you probably 2-3 other artists that I'd go to the concert.
Phelps.
David Phelps.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But other than that, and like, especially for an artist like Noah Khan or just anyone more mainstream, because it's like I don't like sitting for long periods of time. Like I said with
standing.
movies.
Yeah, no, I'll sit. It's
No,
the
but like
standing. I don't wanna do.
doing something I enjoy. Yeah, that's true. But like again, for Noah Khan, I would do it because I can tell you I can sing you his entire discography. But like, if it's something that like, hey, a friend is like, hey, I got tickets to this concert of someone I don't really know like that. Do you want to go with me? I would be like, no. Because I don't like in my head, I'm thinking we're gonna be sitting in traffic, we're gonna be sitting in parking, we're gonna be waiting in line, then we're gonna be standing, then we gotta get home, and we're getting home at like 3 a.m. I'm like,
One of my favorite bands is playing in Halifax this summer, and I won't go.
Who's that?
Killers.
Oh, yeah.
Love the Killers.
Yeah. You and every other 40-year-old guy will
Constantly
be
on my playlist. No, I won't be there.
Yeah.
I'm not going. It's
So
like
I
would if they were playing across the street from my house, I would open the window.
So I'm with you guys on it. This is actually a recurring conversation between me and Melanie because she loves concerts and I hate them. For me, music. The thing I love about music is that it serves something else, and like I don't see it as an end to itself. Yeah. Melanie would argue, that the concert is, about the joy of being in a crowd and having a
go to church.
That assumes you find joy in being in a crowd.
That's which is funny because she's such an introvert. I'm always surprised that she likes that. But yeah, when I'm in a concert, I'm like, this is really good. I respect the music, but like, are we supposed to worship or what are we supposed to do?
When I'm at a concert, my two main thoughts are my back hurts and this isn't as good as the album.
Right. Yeah.
Or if it is as good as I'm not a real rigid person, but when I get a version of a song in my head that I like I don't want to hear you sing this, but it's phrased completely different.
Yeah.
That drives me. I've got a buddy who loves that.
Remind me, I should send you. There's this dude, and he does imitations of people who sing their songs differently live than they do on album.
Oh, really?
And so he did Yellow by Coldplay, and it was really accurate. He's dragging everything out and skipping around to different parts of the song.
Yeah.
It's bro, just
I've seen Coldplay live. They were good.
I love that
but
song.
I'm with you. I'm with you on the concerts thing.
Let me take this in a slightly different direction, though, because when you say concerts, you assume music, but technically, a lot of times stand-up comedy is described as a concert.
Oh, that's different to me.
Totally. I don't enjoy music. Generally, don't enjoy music more live than I do a good recording. But there is something to me. The experience of being in the room with the comedian.
Oh yeah,
that is a different thing. I would be more inclined to spend. Plus, you're allowed to sit down at a stand-up show. I would be far more inclined to spend because concerts are expensive too. Of anyone with a name, right? I'd be far more inclined to spend $100 or whatever to go see a stand-up. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Than I would be to go see my favorite band.
I like music in the background. That's I'd rather be in a pub where there's a guy playing in the corner that I kind of can half pay attention to and I enjoy, but I'm having a conversation with somebody else. I prefer that. So
my favorite concerts I've ever been to have been in pubs, restaurants, a sports bar.
Let's move on.
All right.
I want to get into Matias' story here, but really quick, I have one. We don't even need to do tinfoil hats.
All right.
But I do have one. I just heard this one recently.
Tinfoil hat on in the spirit.
A little conspiracy corner here. Where is my sound effect?
It's been stolen.
I have too many now.
The Illuminati stole your sound effect.
Golden ruler has been stolen.
There we go.
Have you guys heard about the Nazca mummies?
It rings a bell.
Do we have that video, Ron? I may have to translate. I think it's in Spanish, so I'll translate for our listeners.
That'd be great.
So Mexican doctors have carried out tests on the remains of alleged non-human beings. The supposed bodies of extraterrestrials were presented recently in Mexico's Congress. He's saying the first study was a computerized tomography. The second study was a simple X-ray. And the third was a fluoroscopy study. In the three studies, we tried to see the structure of the, waiting for him to say the word, skeleton of the bodies. And we were able to determine that it does indeed belong to a single skeleton that has not been joined to other pieces. Look at that thing. There is no evidence of any assembly or manipulation of the skull as claimed. The bodies have sparked conflict between the scientific community and the Peruvian government, who claim that the remains are pre-Hispanic objects. Creepy, eh? Look at that thing. It's got bones. So, in case people didn't get my translating,
I didn't know you were fluent in Spanish.
You didn't know I speak Spanish?
There's going to be a whole bunch of Spanish-speaking people from Kings who listen to but don't watch the back podcast. Like, why doesn't Brent ever preach in Spanish?
Yeah,
if he's that good at
fluent, how easily?
Yeah.
I just was,
Come on, man. At least give us like a scripture verse or something. Espanol.
You should have read for All Nation Sunday.
I should have, right? See. I actually, there was a guy at one con, and one of the guys on the video teams, like I think he's Mexican anyway. Every time I saw him, I would say something. I'd say like "Hola," and I said I had to ask Shay, "What's goodbye in Spanish?" Adios. Like so I said, "Adios, mi hermano." And he, because I got.
Is that how you order at Mexican restaurants?
I bet you that didn't get old for him.
Those
he
people?
loved it. He loved it. Oh yeah, yeah.
That's great.
I know Hermano's brother because of
Los Polos Hermanos. Everything I know about Spanish and methamphetamine.
100%. Yeah. So, yeah, in case it wasn't clear, in 2017, there was a group of self-proclaimed researchers in Peru that they claimed to uncover non-human mummies near the Nazca lines. These giant geoliths carved into the desert. So that's what the Nazca lines are.
Very familiar with those.
These geoliths are like pictures of these beings, anyway.
That are like massive. Like it'd be hard to draw them on the ground if you couldn't see them from the air.
Yeah, I don't know if you can Google that, Ron. Look up for the Nazca geoliths. See if we can get that on the Googler. And so the mummies they found in Peru were humanoid. They had 3 long fingers, elongated skulls, no visible ears, and most famously had 3 toes. And if you see their feet, they're like these long feet. So there's, at first, these are geoliths. Yeah. Some of these crazy things. They're enormous. And so they found
the bird there. It's that one.
And there's one geolith that actually looks like the creatures.
Ooh.
There's one that actually looks like the mummies they found. So at first, they were just like not taken super seriously, but then American, Mexican, and Russian science teams got access to them, and they have confirmed that they're definitely not human, and they're definitely not like just plaster.
Yeah.
And they've done X-rays.
They totally look like they're just plaster.
They do look like they're just plaster, but they've done X-rays, and there are not just bones in them, but organs. And so either, and this is what they're trying to decide, this is one of the most elaborate hoaxes ever by somebody who's got serious ability at like creating, mummies out of actual materials of people or animals or whatever, or they're something we don't know. So, what do you think? Matthias is like, I didn't sign up for this conversation.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
This is not a conspiracy.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery. This is a mystery.
Unless it's a hoax, and then it could be a conspiracy.
There's a lot of smoke around it, both in terms of it's a hoax, but also, hey, wait a minute.
Assuming all this stuff is true and accurate, like all that information you just shared, I do think we underestimate the potential. Like there have been so many successful hoaxes in the past.
That's true.
And the hubris of science is that as we learn more, we can't be fooled.
Right.
Like but the thing is, as technology advances, the ability to fool technology advances right along with it. Like, they wouldn't know to stick real organs in there. Well, yeah, they wouldn't have 200 years ago when they knew there was no way you could figure that out, but they do now. Yeah. Like if you were, you would be thinking, if you're pulling off a hoax like this, you'd be going, how are they going to test it? I have to be able to pass those tests, right?
Yeah.
So if it's authentic, the results of those tests are helpful. If it's a hoax, more likely that they've been fooled, right? I think there's three main options. I think you got aliens. I think you got a formerly unknown primate. I think you got some sort of significant deformities, humanoid with deformities.
The problem is, though, there's a bunch of them.
How many?
Well, officially, I think there's like a couple dozen, but then the rumor is there's hundreds.
So I would say
it's a lot of deformities.
It is a lot. I mean, if it was 7 or 8, you could imagine like a weird family or something.
Yeah.
If there's
the three-toe family.
If there's hundreds, though, I think that actually argues against aliens.
Unless a whole spaceship just slammed or something.
Right, but if there was tons of, like, hundreds of aliens, like that would have...
Someone would have seen one.
Right, or what happened to, you know what I mean? Like they would have, I guess, they go War of the Worlds, right? They all landed and got off the ship and dropped dead because they're allergic to oxygen or whatever.
You seen that movie? No. The book's awesome. War of the Worlds.
H.G. Wells.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Sci-fi classic.
Yep.
But yeah, I think, man, that's if there are, I mean, if there's dozens, the little gray dozens.
Actually, you can buy one of those on the black market. They're going for $1 million.
Yeah,
for one of those things. It would be amazing in the back corner.
So if there's a millionaire out there who loves the back corner but clearly doesn't love Jesus or the poor, and you would like to spend $1 million, or someone who's really good with paper mache and can make us a knockoff, we would totally take that. But yeah, I think the number of them, it goes against deformities. I think it goes against aliens too, though, and then sort of leaves you with, again, but also goes against hoax. Like if you're going to fake something as well as that would appear to be faked, 3 or 4 of them, okay.
Hundreds?
100? How much free time do you have?
Yeah, and I don't think that's the official record. So yeah.
I'm maybe primate, some formerly unknown primate.
Could be. Yeah. Mystery. It's a mystery. Yeah. I don't know what I think on it. I need to dig a little further. It could also be a hybrid. I mean, going back to the Nephilim.
I was wondering when you were going to reset that counter.
Could be one of Ron's. That might be one of Ron's relatives.
That might be one of my summer projects. Is actually building a Nephilim counter. We'll see how.
You should do it. Yeah, a nice piece of wood backlit with like a red.
We need someone who's
red
got
eyes.
A good like laser etcher thing to, so it's all nice and.
You get it when 3D printed. Get Matt Beeman to 3D print us a Nephilim.
Is he part of the dozens?
I think so.
Matt, if you're out there, buddy, give us a shout. We'll anyone who's a maker I make stuff, but not in that kind of genre. Anyone who's into that, let me know. Or someone who's got a good vinyl cutter, something like that.
I have known you now, Matthias, for a couple of years, and I've gotten bits and pieces of your story. But I want to hear it. I want to hear. Here you are in the back corner. How'd you get here?
I got a text from AJ.
No, man. Like, tell us you grew up, and just tell us your whole backstory. Give us like the, little more extended edition.
I mean, you are a Swazi guy with a white American mom who lives in Canada. How does that happen?
Yeah,
the Lord.
We got time to fill, bud. You're gonna need it.
No, I'm from Eswatini, formerly called Swaziland.
It's not called Swaziland anymore?
Well, it's complicated, but we're an absolute monarchy, and so the king had a birthday and changed the name of the country.
Recently?
2017?
Just
2017.
For my birthday?
It's good to be king.
Trading names.
Yeah.
Huh. What's it called now?
Eswatini.
Eswatini.
Which is the Siswati word for Swaziland.
That's not. I actually don't mind that though. It's kind of nice.
It is what it is. I struggle with when people ask me where I'm from. I'm like, what do I say?
Because everyone knows Swaziland. But.
Yeah. Well, actually, a lot of people get it mixed up with Switzerland, and a lot of people just Like not geographically, they just hear Swaziland. Oh, Switzerland. It's like no.
Do I look Swiss?
But also like people just forget it exists because it's really small.
Right.
And so
Where is it? It's like
so
like north
geographically,
of South Africa?
no, it's like next east of South Africa. So it's like in between South Africa and Mozambique. It's like on the south side of Mozambique. And people also mix it up with Lesotho, which is engulfed by South Africa.
And that's its own country.
You should stitch in like a map and show the
throw
people.
us a map of Africa.
There's a term for that. Countries that are completely surrounded by another country.
Landlocked.
No, that's countries that don't touch the ocean.
Yeah.
It's a multi-purpose statement.
I guess technically the Vatican would fit that bill, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Can you look that up, Ron? What's the name of a country? What do you call a country that's completely within another country? I want to say enclave, but I think there's a technical word for. I watch a lot of like videos.
So yeah,
that.
that's mine. Eswatini. Mozambique is there on the right, south side of Mozambique.
Okay.
And then
So Swazi or Eswatini is almost engulfed by South Africa too.
Almost.
But it's got a little bit of the.
It's got a little bit of escape.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Very cool.
Like, tell us, man. How did you tell us your origin story and all
Origin story. Okay, so I'm adopted, and I was adopted, estimated around 2 months old. There was nothing. When I was born, 2004, Swaziland was #1 in the world for people living with HIV and AIDS.
Okay.
And so because of that, there was a lot of mothers abandoning their babies because they knew they were going to die. And so they didn't, panic, what have you. But in comparison to what was happening to most of the babies, I was very blessed. I was found on a blanket behind a bus stop. A lot of babies were being thrown in dumpsters, buried alive, thrown in pit latrines, stuff like that. So in comparison, I was very blessed. And so I was found on that blanket, no information or anything. And then
Who found you?
no idea, a random passerby.
Wow.
And there was a hospital just up the hill from that bus stop. And so they took me to that hospital, and I lived in a drawer with a couple other babies.
Like in a dresser kind of a thing, or like a cabinet?
Yeah. Just
That's some Harry Potter stuff.
and like the nurses, they didn't care. And so they would like prop the bottle up, change diapers, and then close it.
And they overwhelmed with, I'm sure, like how many.
Sure. Yeah.
How common like that.
Yeah. And so there was that. And so I was there for a couple months, and then there was a lady who ran a home for abandoned babies, a Christian lady, and she was friends with. So separately, my mom had been in Swaziland since 1996
As a missionary.
Okay. And she knew this lady, Robin Richter, who ran this home. And so she would go around to the hospitals and see if there were babies that had been brought in that needed a place. And so she was at the hospital that I was at, and she saw me and the other babies that were there, and she's like, okay, I'm taking these babies and taking them to our home. And the nurses are like, wait, one of the queens is coming. Take them after she comes. After that, I was taken there, and I was there for, 2-3 months. And then separately, the Lord is speaking to my mom. My mom's never been married. And being like, you should adopt a child. And she's like, no, I teach, I don't have time, I don't know anything about kids, I don't, especially taking care of a sick baby, because there's very high chance any child I would adopt has AIDS. And she lost that battle with the Lord, and he spoke to her, changed her heart. 9 months old, the adoption went through.
Wow.
And I became a Croft. I've had 8 names in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
What are they?
When I was found, they called the police, and they tried to figure out, they did a little investigation, and there was nothing about me. And so one officer said, hey, give him my first name. And the other was like, well, give him my last name. So that my first name on record was Siboniso Ndlangamandla. And then I was taken to the hospital, and then the nurses named me Siposetu, which means our gift. And then I was taken to ABC, the home for abandoned babies, and it's a white South African couple. And so they named me Ian.
You don't look like
One of
Ian
these
at all.
things is not like the other.
Yeah. And so then my mom got a hold of me, and she had Matthias.
Yeah.
And so now my legal name is Matthias Lloyd Sipo Croft.
Nice.
When you think, kind of a personal question, and maybe you're still, I mean, you're probably working this out, but like when you think about, you know, where you've come from and like your identity and your name and who you are, like how do you process all that with God? Like what's he showing you about you that, you know, because that's not your typical, you know, I didn't have.
You've been Brent your whole life.
Yeah, which again, I don't love that name as we've established previously, but like, you know, so like you have had to like process a journey there on
For sure.
on who you are. Like, how do you process all that?
Every day.
Yeah.
And you know, there was a season like my mom, it was never a situation that she hid my story from me,
Right.
for which I'm grateful. And any adoptive parents never. It's going to be uncomfortable, but you can't hide the story because there's already going to be layers of confusion, of identity crisis. And so you don't want to, and resentment towards biological family.
Yeah.
And so to add a layer of resentment to adoptive family for hiding something that's core to your story identity, you can't do it. But yeah, when I was like entering my teenage years, I definitely like, my mom would always ask me, she's like, do you ever think about your biological family? And like, I was a young kid. I'm like, no, I'm good. And then like, as I started actually processing it heavier and differently, I'm like, I had the questions. I'm like, what did I do at 2 months old that warranted me being left on a sidewalk for anybody to pick up? Like, what was the story? And like, there's never been a dad in the picture for me. And so like, I've had good male role models, but it's not someone who's there consistently. So that's a thing. And so it's like I'm figuring out what it is to be a man from these guys in my community, which is a whole nother layer of the story. But it's like, so entering my teenage years, I definitely like started harboring a lot of resentment and anger towards them. And I'm like, they made that decision. And so I'm not going to see them again. I don't have to forgive them. And so definitely held on to that for like 2 years. And then I went to a youth group that I had been attending there in Swaziland, and the guy spoke about forgiveness and told his story, which is was very similar to my story. And at the end of it, he was like, if this is your story, I'm sorry. But because of what God has done and the forgiveness Jesus has extended to us, we now need to extend that to others. And so he handed out pieces of paper and pens, and he's like, I want you to write a letter to the person or people that hurt you, and be explicit, say what it was. And then at the end of it, we're going to tear it up and throw it away. And this is our step of forgiveness. And so that night wrecked me in the best way possible. It broke down all the walls I had built up. And it leveled me out so that I could begin again being built up into what he had. And me being me, I also wrote a song about, I wrote a song about that. And that was a really big part of processing. And I found that song has helped others, like adults, like old people, process the hurts that they've experienced from their adoption and the not knowing. And so I think the Lord really has used that song for me and also for other people. But yeah.
There are, I think like my buddy Seth Fancy's adopted, and you know, like I've had conversations and heard him process some of that, and like it sounds to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not, but it sounds to me that there are some painful burdens that you have to process through in that, but also there's a unique I don't know if the word's opportunity, but like there's a way that you get to relate to God.
Yeah,
that's also different and beautiful. Like what have you, you know, obviously we've talked about some of the pain of that. What would you say maybe is some of the blessing of your story?
I mean, just the knowledge of like, I really know what it is to be chosen.
Yeah.
Like I really know what it is to be picked and brought into the family. And so when you talk about he leaves the 99 to find the one. Like, I know what it's like being the one in reality. Like, I know what it is to be nothing, to be just another stat, and then to be chosen and brought in and given an opportunity at something I would have never had I been brought up in. Like, I don't even know if I'd even survive that, you know what I'm saying? So
it's like when I hear your story, I think of there's like these two parallel realities. One is an incredibly profound level of abandonment. Like, you can't abandon a kid more than just leaving them behind a bus stop. But at the same time, like, not only did God arrange for you to be adopted, I mean, found and taken to a place where a lady who takes care of kids would find you, who would then be able to connect you with your mom. But also, like, I kind of love that he forced your mom. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like there was this lovely couple and they couldn't have kids and they were just looking and I just happened. It's like it's like your God just went like, no, this is your assignment, lady. And I don't really care
was
how
like,
you feel about
out
it.
of all the people,
Like in some ways, that the unlikeliness of her almost speaks more to God's hand in the thing, right? As opposed to just like circumstances worked out that, you know, it's like, no, like God grabbed someone who that wasn't on her radar and was like, no, you're gonna do this. And like, there's a level of chosenness there is a good word for it, or like God's been rigging it in your favor. That's got to give you a certain sense of like, it'd be a weird, one side of your story speaks of very low value and the other side speaks of unusually high value. Yeah. And I imagine balancing that tension internally has got to be challenging.
Yeah, it can be, it has been. And it can be perplexing because it's like, you know, the journey of forgiveness, it's like, it's continuously happening. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of times it's easy to make it sound like, oh, you're forgiven and then that you got this behind you, but it's like, it's days. And especially like now, having just gotten married and thinking to the future, like more closer to the point in my life of like having kids and like doing that, because we both want to have kids, but it's like thinking about like, and even just being a husband and like learning about that. And it's like, I have days where I'm like, I never saw this modeled. I never, like, I have no consistent frame of reference to know what this is and how to do this. And I realized like how growing up in the community I grew up in like affected me more than I thought, because it's like, it's not, it wasn't the safest at times. And so, but like I hung out with people and it's like, you know, there was this, it's very one of those cultures, because it's like most of my friend group there, it's like out of like, and it can be a group of like 15, 20 of us. Like I can think of maybe 3 that have present dads. And by present, like they live at home. Yeah. And it's like, so there's that. And so you trying to figure it out. And so you have this culture that tells you, it's like, the more you can be a player, the more you can talk to a woman, the more you're good at that. That's like your stamp of
manly.
Of manhood. And so it's like you figure out, and I mean there was a point where like I was like, okay, that is what it is, you know. It's like, well, I like, you know, learn how to talk to a woman, learn how to talk to a girl, learn how to get her to like you, you know, whatever. And it's like, and in that the Lord preserved me from a lot that would have caused a lot more pain and layers to unpack. But it's so like going into it's like, okay, that's, I know that's not manhood. That's not the stamp of a man, but like what is? Like I saw the what's not, and it's like I have really good guys in my life, but at the same, it's not the same as like having one there consistently.
I mean, the figuring out how to be a man without a dad, or at least a present dad, is challenging, but you can see other men being men.
Yeah.
Figuring out how to be a husband and a father is a, like, you know what I mean? Like I don't do my husbanding in public usually. Right. I'm a man no matter where I go. But like I'm not very husbandy sitting right here. I'm not very dad right here. I'm definitely man. Right. And so I can see how those, like you talked about that moving into that husband role and then kind of looking down the road not too far, probably moving into that dad role. Like that's a whole other level of how in the world. Like that's really hard to observe if you didn't grow up, because it happens in the house.
And it's like I've always felt like, and I tell people like I've always felt like I've always lived in between something. Like it's hard for me to have felt rooted somewhere, because it's like growing up, you know, coming out of that, adopted by an American woman. It's like I'm learning English, and then on top of that, when I do use the Siswati that I use, or use the Swazi accent, it's like people come from the US and like, I can't understand what you're saying. And so like you form your accent to be more acceptable.
Right.
And like, I remember very early on, I wouldn't have had this vocabulary, but it's like, okay, being white is better. And so any element of this that I can extinguish to be more palatable, I will take on, which has caused like,
thus the Gaithers.
Thus the Gaithers. I'll keep that piece. But just like relearning how to like to be.
Yeah.
And it's like I was never like growing up, it's like it'd be in situations and it's like I'd walk around and it's like people know my mom. Like my mom's well known in the community and stuff. And so it's like, oh, I'm Danim Luong, like son of a white person, son of a white woman.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, okay, so basically that means you're white. But why aren't you speaking Siswati? Because you're a Swazi, you're born here, you're raised here. So it's like, what do you want from me? Do you want me to embrace the American or do you want me to speak Siswati? And like I went through a phase like I didn't want to learn, I didn't want to speak it because it's like if you're not gonna like accept me for speaking it, then what's the point? And so I've always lived in between something. And it's like I tell people it's like I was never Swazi enough to be fully Swazi, but never American enough to be fully American. And so it's like I kind of lived in between trying to figure out a place to root myself.
Do you think, like, again, I want to keep getting into like how you're processing that now, but is there, it seems to me like there's these things that like could be blessings. Like I had a good dad that modeled these things, and I'm thankful for that. And I think in many ways that's an advantage. But in some ways, on the flip side of that, there are things that I have to discover for myself. There are things that I need to figure out how to zag. Are you at the point in your life where, the Lord is starting to fill in maybe, or at least convince you or talk to you on like, I'm going to define this for you?
Oh,
like,
yeah, for sure. It's just been like, I marvel consistently at the kindness of the Lord. And it's like, I feel like he's showed me how I can tend to, cause like I'm quite an observant person just of like things and people in general. And like, I'm very empathetic. So I want to help people. So like, even if I don't know you like that, if I can see that you're not doing good, my inclination is to be like, hey, what's going on? You want to talk about it? I'm here, And so like, but like, especially in the context of relationship, like when dating, relationship, marriage, stuff like that, it's been like the Lord is showing me how I'm loving and doing the right thing, but from the wrong place. Like I can love out of resentment.
Yeah.
And like, he's showing me like, you're doing the right thing. You're trying to do the right thing. And you're even asking me to help you do it, but you're doing it to prove that you can, even though you weren't shown that. And you're doing it to prove that you can, even though you didn't have a healthy model of it. And so your love is sourced from resentment. And so those can't coexist. So you got to get rid of that. You got to love for the person that you want to love. And for me, and learn to love from me, but love because you just love the person that I've placed in front of you, and not love to prove that you can do it well.
I was studying Romans 12 today, and like verse 9 says, "Let love be genuine." Like, oh, it's not just the act of it. I gotta do this for the right reason.
And it's hard because it's even different because it's like, it didn't feel ingenuine. It's not like, I know this person's hard to get along with, but I gotta, I'm committed. It's like, I love my wife. Like,
but you can, like you said, you can do the right thing for the wrong reasons. Like I could, if I buy you a birthday gift and I give that to you because I want to see you enjoy the gift, that's different than me buying you the birthday gift because I want you to think something about me.
Right.
That the gift is actually for me.
The place I encounter that dynamic the most is with church planters. And I'll talk to guys who want to plant a church, and I always say you can't plant bitter. Right. And there's these guys that go like, I'm going to plant a really healthy, effective church, but I'm going to do it out of spite for the church I grew up in, or I'm going to do it to prove that this church over here is wrong. And it's like, no, you have to plant a church out of love for what the church can be, not out of bitterness over what you've seen it be that it shouldn't be. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. When you were talking about all your names, it brought Revelation 2 to mind. I had to make sure I was on the right one, but do you guys remember there's the 7 letters that Jesus sends out, right? And there's the one to the church of Pergamum, who were, they were suffering, as were many. But at the end, he says, to the one who conquers, I will give some of the hidden manna, and I will give him a white stone, and with a new name written on that stone that no one knows except the one who receives it. And so like there's this idea of there's like this true name that we all have that only the Lord knows. And only, like, I've thought about that before. Like, what is there's like, because it can be a trap, right? Like if I don't let my identity go any further than Pastor Brent or Ingersoll or husband or whatever, like if I stop there, there's a depth of who I am that the Lord wants me to know and that I'll never experience. And it's like, I think and again, I don't want to put words in your mouth. One of the things I'm picking up on, you're on the fast track to, like, you've had to process your name since the beginning. And for a lot of us, like, that's never been something I've thought about really. And you can kind of settle for, I don't know, like, there's a layer of identity deeper than the labels that you're even good people or good things put on you, like family. Yeah. And I always think about that there's like what's my nickname? Like, what's the thing that the Lord's like, I call my youngest son, we've called him Zig forever. I don't know why. It's just stuck. We call him Zig, right? And his name's Alexander. I don't know how, but like, that's like there's like a term of affection. Like if I heard his teacher call him Zig, I'd say his name's Alex. Yeah. You don't get to call him that, right? Like that's my name for him.
And I think, like, for me, like, like my name as it is, it's like, yeah, it's been a very complex thing to unpack. And like for a while,
it's definitely not Ian.
I praise God. But I definitely, like, there was a stage I went through. It's like, do I want to go by Matias? Because it's like that whole in between thing. It's right. And like upon meeting me, you wouldn't. I feel like most people wouldn't assume he's fair. Not from North America.
That's fair, yeah.
Because like, yeah, and like a lot of people have thought I'm from Ontario, and it's like that fair enough.
I just love like, you seem like normal but fancy. You must be from Ontario. You're not like a weirdo, but you're definitely not from Bucktouche. So,
but like I think just the gift that it is, and like the Lord again unpacking, like wanting to appear like more rooted in my identity as a Swazi, as an African. It's like, should I go by my middle name? Should I go by Sipo instead? Yeah. But it's like I'm at a place that I'm good. I like Matias. I like my name.
Yeah, it's a good name.
Thank you.
It is. Like if it was Ian,
also a lot of people
much more torn.
A lot of people.
Matias is a great
A lot
name.
of people really mispronounce it.
Matthias, right?
And I find it really strange.
What do they say, Matias?
Anything that's not Matthias. Mathis, Matias, I don't know.
I'm just kind of thinking out loud here though. Like it does seem to me there is this like deeper unwritten identity that is a person that your experiences and successes, failures, family trauma, family blessing, all that stuff, like if you stop there, like there's a thing that the Lord wants, like an intimacy with the Lord that we're invited to.
Yeah, and I think that's what I was kind of, the Lord's revealing. It's like, my name could be Ian, my name could be Jim, but as long as I know that I'm a son, and that is my identity, as long as I know that I'm called son, I can be named whatever.
I wonder if, like,
having said that, please call me Matthias.
Yeah, but I wonder if the name that the Lord gives us, one of the things too in that text too, is I'll give you a white stone. I'll give you a white.
I'm just picturing like you get to heaven and God's like, hey, Steve. What? Like you got me a white stone and it's Steve? Like,
no, it was Ian.
They were right. Something cool in like Hebrew or like Dragon Slayer, but it's Steve.
No, this is fun though. In the Revelation 2, I remember this. I preached this text probably 4 years ago. the white stone. It says, "I'll give you a white stone with your name written on it. That's known only to you, like you and me, basically."
Yeah.
And the white stone in Roman culture was like in the highest society. Like they'd have these parties, like for the who's who of Roman society, and like there were these like precious white stones that you had to give that for access, for
like your
entrance.
ticket.
That was your ticket. Yeah, like that you're allowed in here because you had the white stone, and that's the picture of that promise.
Oh,
It's
that's
like,
cool.
Yeah, it's like
you're admitted.
You're admitted into my inner circle.
Yeah.
And like I know your name. In fact, I know your name at a level that only me and you know.
Yeah.
Like that's overwhelming.
I think there's, I don't know, one of the ideas that keeps occurring to me with this whole thing, Matthias, too, is like, I often say that in marriage, for example, I've been really fortunate because my parents had a very healthy marriage and my wife's parents had a very healthy marriage. So when we're on autopilot, we're actually kind of doing okay. Whereas I see a lot of folks who they just kind of default to whatever their parents did, and their parents were super dysfunctional, and so they're super dysfunctional. But that said, if things are going to be truly healthy, you do have to be intentional. And there's got to be this weird, back to that in-between thing of like, there's so many things you can't just default to what you grew up with because you didn't grow up with something. But on the other hand, like, which forces you to be intentional. But on the other hand, there's probably a level of health and like functionality as opposed to dysfunction that you'll be able to get to quicker than some other people because you don't have to unlearn anything. Like you don't have to.
But also I think because of like how much feels new, it's really easy for me to like, I get overwhelmed really easily.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Like just generally, like with anything, I can get overwhelmed, and it's like I've spent my life trying to cover that and mask that, and it's like because of how much time I spent trying to mask it, like I feel like so many, like if you're really really close to me, you'll know, but like many people would never know that like I've had many public panic attacks and nobody would know because I look completely normal just because of that lifelong trying to mask. But it's like because of that, going into marriage and like figuring things out, whether it be conflict resolution or like love, like attachment styles, or learning this person, learning my wife, it's like it's all so new that it's very easy for me to just withdraw completely and like revert to what I know is doing my own thing.
Yeah.
And so,
do you think there's a connection between that sense of not being rooted or being like in between things, which is really what that boils down to, and the overwhelmed thing?
100%. Because I think like I remember I was like, I don't know, 6, 5, young, somewhere around that age. And I remember having the epiphany that my mom and I weren't the same skin color. And like I cried because what had informed me. And you know, next door is South Africa. It's like remnants of apartheid still live very, very heavily, you know? And so it's like, I don't enjoy going to South Africa. The reason I did enjoy anything about South Africa is because my then girlfriend was there and that was cool. But like, other than that, like, I don't like going to South Africa because it's like, it's so thick. It's like you go and it's like, it's not everybody, but it's like, you know, when you know, like there's been times like I was just waiting for my mom in a grocery store and there was this lady on the other end of the aisle, and it's like, she was like complaining loudly, and like somebody came over to her and she was like, "What's wrong?" She's like, "I want to shop. I want to like look for stuff in this aisle, but that's here."
Wow.
And so it's like being in between, it's like, okay, I can't do anything about this. And it's like, but like, what do I do to make myself more palatable? So whether it's like my accent sounding more North American, or it's like trying to like peer pressure learning things that seem to be the current pop culture, whatever, that are like relevant to this demographic of people, to make sure that I am safe. You know what I mean?
And yet you still haven't seen Lord of the Rings.
And yet I still haven't seen Lord of the Rings.
Way to stick to your guns, man.
Sometimes
don't be pressured to fit
Sometimes I can stand on business. But like joking, but seriously, like that stuff like that is like learning. It's like, okay, because like some of my best friends, that's what they do. And it's like, I know it's not my thing. I don't think it's great that you love it, but I know it's not my thing. And like that even goes so deep. And it goes like, I feel like if you don't have to deal with that struggle, you don't realize how deep it can go. But like even like being told like a lot of times that I don't sound like I'm from Africa, or like stuff I prefer, music I listen to, stuff like that. It's like a lot of it has been informed by I'm in between. What do I want to attempt to root myself in right now? And so it's a lot. Like it's overwhelming, and it's been like, and even trying to navigate. Like I didn't expect to have culture shock coming to Canada for school, because I've been in the U.S. for like months at a time, but like I've never lived there.
Yeah.
But like I've been there. I thought I had been there, spent long enough times there that I'm like, North American culture, I got it. But like it's coming here. It's like I'm figuring this out on my own.
What were the biggest adjustments? Yeah. Whether
Canada and U.S.
whether deeply profound or ridiculous.
Lower scale weather. Like my first winter here, people are like, this isn't even that bad of a winter, eh? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like I'm dying. And it's like, oddly enough, one of our observations was there's so many loud vehicles. Yeah. Like cars are so much louder here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean,
and like
your
the
frame
dudes,
of reference is Sussex,
right?
too,
The
right?
dudes
Which
with
is
the big obnoxious trucks, whatever. It's like, I mean, they're fun to ride in, but like if you're outside and you're just trying to walk, it's like that hurts and stuff like that.
I'm
but
so
like,
cool, I don't fix my muffler.
and it's like, but like more broad, it's like I realized that like it seemed simple enough, and oh my goodness, I have a lot of story, but like 2020 is like kind of like started realizing that like, okay, there's stuff wrong because my family is white. And so realizing that there's a lot of things that I experienced in the way that I did because I was with them. And so now I'm here and it's me.
And you're not with your
I'm
family.
black.
I got
I'm
you.
with my, at the time, girlfriend, fiance, wife, whatever. We're black, figuring this out. We're in Sussex. We're like two of like 5 black people there.
That means there are 4 more black people than there were when I was growing up.
But it's like trying to be, and you know, it's like I say be safe, and for a lot of people I feel like it's fair enough. It's like, what do you mean you're not in danger? But it's like you're not in danger and you don't know why I would feel like I'm in danger. And it's not even like I'm worried like I'm gonna be like shot or something. It's just danger to me is like being like, you know, one time I was outside of the dorm, I was outside of Ingersoll. I just got back from somewhere and I'm going to walk in and a car drives by and they like roll down the window and they're like, I hate black people. And then they roll out the window and I drove off. And it's like, so like it makes sense that you wouldn't have a frame of reference for that because like
That was never going to happen to me.
it's not going to happen to you. And so like just trying to like, and like walking down the sidewalk, it's like, oh my goodness, everybody's looking at you. They're like, why are they here? And it's like, Sussex is slowly becoming more diverse.
I would say in Sussex's defense, anyone who's not from there gets that look because people are used to recognizing
Sure, but that's
everyone.
more obvious.
But
though.
that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. It's like from that perspective, which is valid. I'm not saying it's not valid, but it's like from already carrying baggage of experience, you go into that. You're like, you don't have that context of like, you know.
I'm not dismissing it.
And so-
I'm just
right,
saying
right.
your experience. I'm just saying Sussex is one of those places. Like there's so many people that I know from Sussex. I have no idea who they are. I've never learned their name, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're from Sussex. They just look that.
Is it
familiar.
fair? Because like again, I'm interested. You know, because I grew up here. You know, and like had a few black friends growing up, and
For those of you who only listen to the podcast, you don't watch. Brent is white.
yeah. So I'm clear. Yeah, and like I had, you know, and it was never like when I hear about like racism, you know, like in South Africa or even in the US, like, you know, like there's some complexities and some layers to it that in Canada we at least don't have the baggage of slavery or apartheid here, right? Like it's not to say there's not prejudice and or people that just genuinely are racist. I think that's a thing, but I think the majority of people would be ignorant, like would just be like even the people that are looking at you in Sussex saying, why are they here? I think they're actually wondering that, not in a why would you be here, like go back to your own country kind of way, but in a I wonder what brought that person here.
I wonder that when I see black people in Sussex. I'm like, why
But
are you
so
not at home?
I do think I can at least speak for the Maritimes. Like I think most of it. I'm not justifying it or saying that it's okay. I just think there is a healthy dose of just legitimate. Up until the last 10 years, it has been 99.99% just white maritime people living here. Like the complexion of my kids' high school compared to my high school, dramatically different, which I'm glad for.
And I think like there's people, I talk to, and it's like they want to know and they're genuinely curious, but like they're so afraid to be offensive that they won't ask anything, which can lead to more harm than good.
Yeah, which is actually more
because
awkward.
like I'm like I don't care if you think it's a stupid question. The fact that you want to know makes me feel better because you're not just operating off of your own assumptions about like I've been at some crazy things. Not in Canada, but in the US for sure. I've been asked some crazy things. I've been asked if I ride an elephant to school.
Wow.
To which my response needed to be, it's a cheetah. Much quicker. A little more expensive, but it gets you there and back in half the time. But I was just...
You got to saddle a cheetah or you just grab onto some fur and hope for the best?
Whatever you're feeling at the time. I've never ridden a cheetah, actually.
I don't think anybody...
Or an elephant or any...
I've ridden
I've ridden a horse.
Have you? Wow.
At like Disneyland when I was like 4, but yeah.
But like I've been asked that. I've been asked how it feels to have shoes among my friends. I'm like a lot of my friends there have nicer shoes than I do. Is it nice to have clean drinking water? Just stuff like that. And it's like, it's like operating, if you operate out of your assumption.
Yes.
It's like, oh,
yeah.
Okay, so this is what you think. And like
it's a combination of ignorance and then a lack of tact. Like a lack of just ability to even in a healthy way formulate dialogue to actually get the right information.
If you have a stupid question to ask, there's often a smart way to ask it though.
Right.
Like if you're wondering about those differences, rather than go, I bet you didn't have shoes. Just go like, what are the things that are the biggest difference for you between?
And it's like,
or what have been the biggest adjustments
very
for you?
early on, and like we know, like there's this type of scrutiny and like looking down upon that has always existed of Africa, and it's like, I mean, it's like and you'll notice this tribe hasn't had water for the past 5 years, and it's like that happens, but it's not the commonality. Like Joburg. Such a big city, South Africa.
Yeah.
And it's like there's places that are more advanced than a lot of North American places.
Well, I mean Wakanda for sure.
Okay, well,
my brother-in-law still does work for an energy company in the States, but one summer his summer job was they had to buy the land rights they do natural gas. From whoever lived on it, right? And so he was in West Virginia, and they would go to these communities. Even would be a stretch to call them that, but you would drive or walk up a dry riverbed because in the summer it would dry up. And he would talk about these cabins where people lived, where there were piles of empty Spam cans just off the side of the deck, and then there were layers of burn on them. And what they would do, they just every time they emptied a Spam can, they'd throw it out there, and then when it started to stink, they'd pour some gas on it and light it and then just keep, like, if that was your frame of reference for the United States, right? You'd be like, these poor people, right? But it's like, no, there are people like that there, but there's also Manhattan, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that like people often like, I grew up in church. I couldn't tell you how many missionaries to somewhere in Africa came and visited. Not to mention there were 2 or 3 couples in our church that had been missionaries in Africa. Like the little slideshow never was like, here's a skyscraper in Johannesburg.
Right.
Like here's the local stereo store.
Well, and
it was always the mud huts and
again,
else.
that's not out of some, it's because these missionaries were going to the end
That's
of the
where
earth.
they were working.
They weren't going into the inner city. They were going to.
So that's my point. Same thing like with my brother-in-law. I told you his story of West Virginia. It wouldn't give you a very accurate picture of West Virginia, but it would tell you exactly where he was.
I will get to Africa. That's on my bucket list.
Send a work team.
Well, I just want to go. Like I don't actually want to go
but
for
send
like a
alert to.
ministry.
Brent wants to go hunt big game. He's
Well,
not.
I just want to go
can.
see big game. I don't I
If
don't think
you-
I'd hunt big game.
If you come to Swaziland, my mom, Kruger National Park,
Yeah.
it's my mom's favorite place on earth.
Okay.
She will take you.
Okay.
I don't
Well,
even have to.
It's happening. So
Mom, write that down.
yeah. Well, my wife wants to do that super bad too.
Bring
so,
'em.
but what do you miss most about like Swaziland, Africa, food? What are like give us the stuff that you're like, oh man, this
Okay.
is just this is better there than it is here.
In Swaziland we have braais.
Prize?
Braais.
What is that?
A braai is what would be called here a cookout or a barbecue.
Okay.
But it's a braai. You get the grill. A lot of people, they just get like the rack, put it on some bricks, get the wood, and like start the fire like that. But you have your meat. You have pork is like one of the most liked meats.
Okay.
And you get pork, you got your chicken, you got your wors, boerewors.
What's that?
It's like sausage but better.
Okay.
It's like sausage, but made out of good parts of the animal.
It's Africa. I don't know how else to describe
So
it. but it's
African
like-
food's good, eh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't love Haitian food.
And there's
I like Haitian food.
I didn't love it.
well, you said that you just eat to survive.
That is true.
Which
that
I'm-
is true. I'm not a
I'm-
foodie.
I'm praying that the Lord works on your heart because there's so much.
I enjoy
You
so
know.
much of life that I don't need something
you
else.
can
to
just
enjoy.
you can enjoy more.
See, I'm
of
the
life.
opposite. I don't enjoy much of life, so I love food, but I have the most white trash tastes ever. Like I craft single slices, baby. That's my like. What's your favorite kind of cheese? Processed.
Gross.
And I'm rocking my grape Kool-Aid.
That is true.
Like, dude, you want a sandwich? Yeah. What kind of bread you want it on? You got white? Like that. I don't usually because it's the least healthy, but my preference, Wonder Bread.
Do you see yourself going back, or do you see yourself living here? Like what? Like,
I mean,
what
not for a visit, but yeah. Like,
Yeah. No. Like do you feel like I feel? Again, the Lord can change this in a person, but I feel like I use the term like married to the land. Like I'm like my roots are here and I feel called here. Again, God could change that any time.
I do too.
Do you have any
except for
sense?
about February.
Do you have any sense? Yeah, I don't always like what I'm married
I'm like,
to. I don't always like what I'm married to.
Jesus, people
but
in Arizona needs to hear about you. What about somewhere warm and dry and sunny?
there are seasons where it's just I'm enduring it.
Yeah.
But
I get it.
yeah, what do you like? Do you is there like
For sure. Again, it's that thing of like you say you feel rooted here. Feeling rooted is very rare for me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I miss home.
I will say, just on that, just to encourage you though, I wouldn't have said I felt rooted here when I was 21, 22. Like this has been something like as I've grown as a man, as a husband and a dad and a pastor and I think all of us have to process our calling and our identity. It looks different for everybody. I would say my rootedness now, like I have a handle on that at a level I just didn't have in my 20s. So I think that's part of, you do have your whole in-between thing is your unique story. But I would be surprised if you felt rooted, if you grew up in Quispamsis,
A lot of people who feel deeply rooted somewhere, not as in like committed to it, like you're talking about, Brett, but like I'm very much from here. They like, as a kid who grew up in Sussex, most of the people I grew up with were dying to get the heck out of Sussex.
In my 20s especially,
Like,
I didn't want
was-
anything to
it
do
was
with Atlantic
the-
Canada.
It's one of those
somewhere
things
else.
though. It's like you want to get out, but once you get out, you want to go back.
Yeah.
And I also wrote I write songs about lots of things, but I wrote a song about like that sense of like when I first went back after my first semester at Kingswood, it's like the expectation of like things were gonna change, but you didn't realize how much they were gonna change, and it's like y'all are growing, and I'm growing, but since we're in different place, it's kind of like we're not growing together anymore, and so it's like what I was comfortable in and what I was inclined to, it's like it doesn't fit the same anymore.
You ever heard that expression? You can never go home.
I've heard similar.
Yeah, I mean it is like you.
It's just not there
Like
when you come back.
you can't go home.
Yeah.
There's a passage in one of C.S. Lewis's books. I think it's The Weight of Glory, where he talks about like how you could go back in time. If you could go back in time and visit the memory of the thing that you think you miss, you'd go back there and be disappointed. Like that, it's because
You're different.
yeah,
Even if
Yeah.
it's the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
man.
I can empathize with that because my like I grew up in Sussex, but my family's not from there. I wasn't born there, and my family moved when I finished high school. So it's one of those like, is it home? I grew up there. Is it familiar? It's familiar, but it's not the same.
So
place.
probably too soon to tell.
Yeah, but yeah, to answer that, like I can see myself being here for a couple more years after which I came to school and I was like, I'm gonna get my degree and I'm gonna leave. I don't have any super strong attachment in Canada, you know. And it wasn't like I didn't think I would dislike it, but it's just like, you know, it's not. But like the more time I spent here and like having great church safety and like good community and stuff like that, like
friends
like I like it here. I can see myself being here for several more years.
Oh, we'd like that.
And eventually, you know, I can see.
No, truly, man. Like I like beyond. You're obviously you're a gift from a ministry standpoint. God has given you gifts to do that, but you know we just like having you here, man. Like that's. And for what it's worth, and where we're on the record, you know, I'm not a betting guy. I don't gamble.
Good to know.
But if I were, I would be putting a lot down on the high probability that you're gonna be an awesome dad and like gonna do great things in your life, man. Like in that God is not giving you a predictable journey at any point. And those make the best stories and the most glory. And you've already weathered, you know, and had to process some of the things that a lot of us don't even start thinking about until we're 40.
Yeah, it is an unfair advantage.
Yeah,
like it's unfair to you, but
yes.
gives you an advantage to have to process some of that stuff. And,
well said.
And I'm sure there are times you feel like that means you're behind, but in some ways it's
You're
actually
way
putting
ahead.
you ahead.
Yeah. And I believe in you a lot.
Well,
so
thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah. Now
God's hand is so clearly on you, and I don't just mean as in like you're talented or but like literally, like I grew up in a pastor's home on the campus of a Bible college, like with loving parents, mom and dad, like the fact that, you know, wherever I've wound up is like, that was pretty predictable. You know what I mean? Whereas like there's such a clear God's like, I don't know. I think of when people talk
plucked
about
from the fire, man.
Yeah.
Like,
A brand plucked from the burning, right?
Yeah.
That's the West Gun. I think of, you know, when people talk about, what's the words I'm looking for here? Like when people will ask, you know, how much free will do we have in conversion? You know what I mean? You're like, oh yeah, like I'm an Arminian. I think, you know, there's a lot of free will involved. But then you look at someone like Paul, who got like, you can pick, but I'm pretty clearly, you know what I mean? Like I am going to knock you off your horse with a blind.
Yeah.
Like I'm
going to get you there one way or the other.
It seems one of those things like where the Lord with you has been like, no, this is going to have nothing, you know, your whatever your biological parents' situation was, however you wound it up in an orphanage, like all like none of that stuff. Like I got a plan here and I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah. And it's like, I feel like you know, we're singing it tonight, How Good the Lord Is, that song. It's like when I sing that song, it's like I'm thinking like seen a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of chaos, lost a lot of people, seen a lot of loss, seen a lot of like things. It's like this is terrifying, but like it keeps going back to like, you know, I had a beautiful, wonderful family, pretty good community growing up. Just the blessing of the Lord to be able to be in a place like this. It's like I didn't there were a lot of points in my life I didn't foresee myself making it out of my teenage years for various reasons. But it's like I didn't like a lot of times I think people are like, what do you want to be? What are your plans? It's like I didn't have those because I didn't see myself making it.
Wow.
And so it's like the fact that like I am here, like I turned 21 in January. It's like I genuinely at many points in my life I was like I'm not making it out of my teens, but it's like it circles back and now like I'm here and now I am married to a quite incredible woman.
You are. You did well.
Hey, it's all God. I don't get it, but
my buddy Bruce Havel always says, "Ain't much of a man can't marry above himself."
That is awesome. So you are multi-talented musician, heck of a basketball player too. I was impressed. And
Oh,
it's
really?
not, but just I
Thanks.
could tell just a pure athlete though. Like you just tell he's just an athlete. But the question is, can you rank random things?
Can I rank random things?
Can you
That's the kind of skills we care about.
can you
I'm a-
rank random things? Because it is time for the Mountainous Top 4. Today on
that
the
you?
Mountainous Top 4. No, that's
Buddy, that's if
that
you're going to stay
predates
in
you.
Canada, we're going to have to walk you through that one. You come over some night.
I got it.
We'll all watch Strange Brew together.
Yeah, it's a
Canadian
an old
classic.
Canadian show. Actually, most people that have been on the back corner don't recognize the
Which
reference.
shocks
so,
me.
Yeah,
I didn't realize we had such an uncultured demographic that we were inviting on.
we need to do better.
We do.
Mine's just a different culture, so
need
I
to-
feel like I get a pass.
We need to put in like some sort of like, here's your kit of things you have to watch before you can be on.
So today's Mountainous Top 4, we are going to rank your top 4 one-hit wonders. Top 4 one-hit wonders. So I guess the criteria it could get debatable because there are some people that are categorized as one-hit wonders that maybe they actually do have fans. Like, Rick Astley actually has 2 hits.
Yeah.
Never Gonna Give You Up, and then the same song in a different packaging. Together forever.
Oh, yeah. Was that him?
Yeah. So
And you get bands that have like they made a career with their little niche, but then they had one song that was like wide mainstream hit.
So we'll be generous on the one-hit wonderness. So I'll end it because I have a outro song that I'll play. So want to kick it over to you? You
Sure.
lead us off. We'll go Matthias second.
I'm
and
going to
I'll
go
close.
sort of honorable mention to Genghis Khan, which is a
the Mongolian.
no, they're a German like disco-esque. Basically, so Boney M's song Rasputin, rah rah Rasputin. There's some dude in Germany. Well, Boney M is German too, but there's this dude in Germany who heard that and is like, there's a whole market for like disco-esque 70s groups that sing about historical figures. And so for the Eurovision Song Contest, he put together a band. He wrote a song called Genghis Khan, and put together a band to sing it. But then, so that was their big hit, but then they had other hits after that. And so when I first discovered them, I thought they were a one-hit wonder, and I was like, this is the greatest one-hit wonder ever, but not so much because they have multiple hits. But, I mean, multiple. I think 2 actual hits, but I listen to them in the shop all the time. Great palate cleanser from all the kind of music I usually listen to. But the actual one-hit wonders, I'm going to go Bittersweet Symphony by The Verve.
See, not a one-hit wonder.
What
this
else?
is-
What other songs do they have?
Lucky Man, happiness, more or less. It's just a change in me, something in my liberty. Oh, I'm a huge
Don't know if
Verve
I've
fan.
heard of it.
Oh, they're huge.
Yeah?
Okay. We'll accept it in North America.
I would put them then in the
Sonnet,
one hit that
Catching
is
Butterflies.
clearly bigger than their other hits.
All right. We said we were going to be generous.
All right.
I just take issue with that one
The
because
other,
the Verve are awesome.
The other 3, I'm not saying they're not. You know, they didn't get any money from that song.
Really?
The Rolling Stones got all the money from that song because the
violin part?
the violin part. Here's the killer thing: there was a group, an orchestra that did a cover of whatever of a Rolling Stone song. That is not from the Rolling Stones version of it. It's from this orchestra's cover of it. So they stole an orchestra part that wasn't part of the original recording, but because it was a recording of a song that Mick Jagger and Keith Richards owned the rights to, they actually
too
got all
bad.
the money from the little string section that some composer wrote for the
He
orchestra.
who has much, even more will be given.
I'm telling you, it's one of the most ridiculous things in the
Well,
history of music publishing rights.
Do yourself a favor, look up the Verve, look up Richard Ashcroft. His
I'm on
solo stuff is excellent. It's their lead singer.
Yep.
Here's a deep cut for you. The song Cast No Shadow by Oasis.
Yep. I know that one.
It's about Richard Ashcroft.
No way.
Lead singer of the Verve. Yeah. There you go.
There we go.
Didn't know.
The New Radicals, Get What You Give.
Oh yeah, great pick.
Yeah.
Don't have
Now you got a reason
Oh,
to live.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good song.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's a good. Courtney Love and Marilyn Manson. We're all, yeah, dude.
Do you know that song?
Oh, dude. And they are like I bet you their manager can't name another song that they came up with. But yeah, Fastball, The Way. Anyone can see the road that they walked on is paved in gold.
Yeah.
It's always, and any song about an old couple that mysteriously disappears. That's that catchy. Wait, they're happier there today. Yeah, a great
That's a
song.
good one.
And Wall of Voodoo, Mexican Radio.
Whoa.
I'm on a Mexican radio.
Oh, yeah.
It's like an 80s kind of that synth poppy thing.
Good one.
I could also throw in Thomas Doubly, Blinded Me with Science. She blinded me with science. That's a classic. But anyways, that's my four.
Good list. What do you got, Matias? You got 4?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of zoned out during that because I had no idea what he was saying. But so when you asked me before, I thought, yeah, you didn't give me a whole lot of time to think about this. But in the time that I did have, I thought of I don't know how to pronounce it. Gautier.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Didn't have to cut me off.
Yeah.
He just dropped that and disappeared.
Yeah. Now the girl on that song, she's pretty famous in Australia. Her name's Kimbra.
Okay.
She's got a good.
My understanding is he it's not that he couldn't come up with
Right.
it. He that was his thing.
Yeah.
He was going to come up with one big song and then just
Right. I've heard that too.
and just scram.
Yeah.
Especially if
like
it was
that.
like
Good
if he
pick.
had good rights for it and stuff. Like he probably is still living off that song. So.
Yeah.
Impressive. What else you got?
I thought of Party Rock Anthem.
Oh yeah.
LMFAO.
Yeah. That's good.
They had like maybe 2 or 3
That was
hits,
their big one,
but
though, for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
And
Party
then
rockers in the house.
yeah. First heard that song on an Alvin and the Chipmunks movie, by the way.
In the what?
On an Alvin and the Chipmunks movie.
I like that you don't like movies, but you've seen Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Which is probably why you don't like movies.
Yeah. There's better options out there, bro. Fellowship of the Ring. Try not to cry when he says, and I'm not going to let you.
I'll live vicariously through you on that. There was a song that was really popular last summer called $1 Million Baby by Tommy Richmond. I'm blanking on the melody because I'm mixing it up with another song. Yeah. So
It's on the gym mix.
Ring 0 bells.
and then there was in 2020, DaBaby, he released a song called Rockstar.
Okay, how's that
And no, I can't really sing the words here.
Okay.
But but he it became really popular because he released, it was like in the summer of 2020, and then he released another version that was like a tribute to George Floyd that he revamped, and so that song kind of carried him through 2020. And then he's released stuff since then, but he's just not that song and that album.
All right.
Kind of just
All right, here's my 4, but I guess a 5 is honorable mention. Actually, I have 6. Honorable mention. Tub Thumping.
Yeah.
Chumbawamba. You know that one?
Are you speaking in tongues?
I get knocked down.
But I get up again.
yeah.
You're never going to keep me down.
Also, couldn't go on the final 4. Afternoon Delight by Starland Vocal Band, as made famous by Ron Burgundy.
The second vocal band to appear on the podcast today.
Gonna find my baby,
Gonna hold her tight.
Yeah. All right, here's my 4. Number 4, Don't Worry, Be Happy, Bobby McFerrin. You know that one?
Oh yeah.
Number 3, Take On Me by Aha.
Yeah.
That is the quintessential 80s song. That the turnaround,
There's that zone of 80s music like that was somehow very upbeat and sad at the same time.
yeah, melodramatic.
I've never been able to articulate what does it, but
Number 2, this is people may not know this one. A 90s rapper named Skiloo with a song called "I Wish."
Skilo.
Skiloo.
I don't know. I always thought it was Skilo. I wish I was a little bit taller.
That's the
I
one.
wish I was a balder. I wish I had a girl who looked good. I would call her.
That's the one. Yeah. And my number 1, and this might be there might be a Proclaimers fan out there that's going to take issue with this because maybe they're not. They do have that song, "I'm on my way." I'm on my way.
Oh yeah.
But really the one hit wonder, 500 miles.
500 miles.
That's the one. That's your Mountainous Top 4. This has been the Back Corner. Matias, Thank you for being here,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Thanks for
It's been
having
fun.
me.
23 BC out.